All right, so this is the Instructional Scheduling Assistant, the ISA. We're working in the QA environment right now, but if you want to visit the production website, it's instructionalscheduling.ucsd.edu, and that is available. I'm already logged in, but when you first begin using the tool, you will log in using your business or AD credentials, and it knows who you are in the UCSD system. So you can see here my name in the top right-hand corner. It knows who I am. It knows what unit I'm affiliated with. Since I have admin powers for this, I'm able to switch my unit, but if you are affiliated with multiple units, the units that you are affiliated with will show up in that drop-down, and you'll be able to switch between them. There is a unit setting that has contact information that the instructors will see when they get notified. It's got general notifications and then the ability to BCC someone. That can be yourself, that can be other schedulers in your unit or a role account. There's also a unit contact for summer session. The ones that are marked with a required flag are ones that will prompt the system to bug you if you don't have those filled out. So you'll see warnings throughout if you don't have those filled out. So it's best to get them set up right when you begin using the system. There's also an activity feed that has date and time stamps for what user has done what types of activities, so you can see what your colleagues have done. A feedback button that goes right into our issue tracker, and we're actively staying on top of any bugs that come up. The change log describes the development work that's been taking place, and when we have new feature rollouts, we update that with the details. And then there's a tutorial document that's always available. It leads to this training guide that has some helpful links at the top, including a link to our 5-minute instructor training video that's up on YouTube. And then on the menu, you can jump to the area that you want by clicking on the table of contents. So yeah, that's all the user menu items. You'll notice that the recent activity feed, feedback, and changelog are also available on the dashboard. That's kind of the overview page when you first log in. The other core components are here on the left, kind of grouped together. There's the instructors tab, which lists all the instructors in your unit. To cut down on the amount of time it takes to load this page, it's just loading your own instructors, but you can also search for other instructors outside your unit if you want to. And that is querying the database, and they'll pop up there. We have a feature called inactive instructors. So what this is doing right now is we're pulling from Central Campus PPS data, and it is correlating folks who are active employees who have a PID, sorry, and I should revise that. It's not folks who are active employees, it's all employees ever who have a PID that's affiliated with your unit. And so we are working on refactoring that functionality so that it is a little bit more discriminating in how it's pulling those names, and it's not giving you a list of absolutely everybody. But for right now, if you click on the Advanced tab and then click on Edit Instructors, it will give you this ability to toggle on or off folks who may or may not be teaching in your department, which is a bit of an annoying step at first, we do admit, but if you do that one-time cleanup, and once you return to your instructor list, you shouldn't have to go through and see all the inactive instructors any longer. And next we have the courses tab. This is showing all the courses that we have access to via the campus data warehouse. So if a course is not showing up here, that means it's not in the data warehouse, which may mean that it is working its way through the academic senate or in some other repository on campus, but hasn't made its way to be publicly available yet. So we are trying as much as we can to reflect central campus data sources where they are making things available and not creating a separate silo of information within the ISA. If a course is not showing up, what you can do is you can create a new course for a temporary record. And if the subject code, the course code, and the course title match the e-course information that will be approved through Academic Senate, when those 3 pieces of information match, it will seamlessly integrate once the information is available via the data warehouse, and you can do it that way. So The classes tab has the class details. Classes are associated with a term, so it has the term information there, and they may or may not have the instructor or class component information available to it right now. But that's just another way to have a list view summary of the active data for the quarter. Next, we have the meat and potatoes of the core features that we rolled out first. This is the annual schedule builder. This is a tool that helps departments do their planning, projecting into the future for what they're planning to offer. By default, it shows you fall, winter, spring, but you can also look at more options to look at one quarter at a time. You can filter by academic level. You can filter by anything that you type into that box there will live filter the course titles in the table. And you can also look at it by instructor. And so what we typically expect is that in the annual schedule builder, if you are in a unit that has not used the ISA before, I'm going to switch to another department for an example. I'm using the analytical writing program. When you're on the annual schedule builder, it will prompt you to copy a schedule from a previous year. And this will happen whenever your class schedule is completely blank. So if you copy from a prior year, it gives you the option. You should pick 2 years ago, not last year, just due to a little idiosyncrasy with how we loaded the data. We loaded years 2009 to 2017 from the data warehouse, but then the information that starts in the year 2017-18, that information is coming from the ISA. So if you want to copy from a previous year, just use 16-17 or earlier, and it will give you a little preview of which classes are included there, and you can copy them into your schedule. So back to biological sciences here. I've already copied all of the classes in, so they're pre-populated. And at this point, if I want to, I can go in and I can make any edits that I need to. I can add an administrator note that's only available to my division or department. I can add instructors or add a placeholder staff instructor, which is the unknown. So I'm just going to add myself here, and you'll see how this will be useful when I show you the instructor features later. And if you know the class components at this point, you can start adding them. The class components are according to the ones that the registrar's office uses. And so the primary component is by default created as a lecture, but then you can add any of the discussion sections that you need to. And you can add copies of those as well. So say you have 20 sections, you can just have 20 duplicate sections with the enrollment limit added, and it will generate all of those for you. There's an area to put in a note for the registrar and an area for administrator note for your own area, your own division or unit or department. Those will, the note for the registrar will be added to the spreadsheet that gets generated for the registrar on a quarterly basis. I'll explain that more in a little bit. And you can also add days, times, and locations. Throughout the app, whenever you see the ability to put in a day, time, or location, right now it's very loose and very flexible to accommodate the variety of scheduling options that different departments offer. So you can put in any combination that you need to, or cherry pick the day time set if you just want to do it kind of on a more visual basis. And you can put in the start and end times. You can either pick the pre-selects or you can just type in, whatever you want with the custom time option. If your class is scheduled in a non-general use space, which is to say in a departmental space, we have a list that we have been working with all the departments to gather that has the buildings and the rooms on campus available here. And so if your building and room is in this list, you can go ahead and add it, and that will get onto the spreadsheet for the registrar. If you either have a correction to this list or you don't see it and you would like to add your room to this list, you can use the feedback button through the user menu here and just let us know. And that is the one piece of information throughout the entire app that we are maintaining sort of custom just for this app. And so that is not coming from a central campus data source. Yeah, and so once you've got all that information in there, you're kind of ready to go. I want to point out that the historical enrollment information for each of these classes is at the bottom of the class details screen. So for any class that you click on, it has the historical enrollment information available there, and you can access that either from the annual schedule builder, the classes list has it if you click on the class, and it'll load up depending on how much there is. It might take a while. Some of these classes have been taught for a very long time. But yeah, once you have things in place on the annual schedule builder, let's see, I'll go through a couple of the other features and then we'll see how those things get added to the quarterly schedule builder. So at this point, I want to talk a little bit about process. So when we worked together with our committee and then our work group, we built things so that the annual teaching acknowledgement process and the quarterly instructor scheduling preferences processes were worked into some of the features here. And actually, if I can just go back for a second, I forgot to mention that if you have an instructor who is not in the PPS system yet, you can create a new temporary record, put in whatever first, last name, and email address you need to create a temporary instructor record. And then once they're in PPS, you would use the merge instructor records function, which is available via that link, which is broken on QA, but will be functional in prod. Or you can use the left-hand merge instructor records menu item. And you would select your temporary instructor record and then search for them in PPS. And if they were available in PPS, you would click on that and merge their records, and anywhere that you're using a temporary record would then be functional with their actual record. So that's important because when you're looking at your teaching acknowledgements and you have the instructors assigned, this is how they will receive notifications and then respond back with information about their teaching acknowledgement and their instructor scheduling preferences. Not every department uses the teaching acknowledgement model. So this is an optional step. It does not prevent you from using the other features of the system. Excuse me, pausing just a sec for some water. But it is expected that it is typically an annual process that happens in the fall where a department will send out to all their instructors their tentative teaching commitment for the upcoming year, and then have the instructor accept or reject that acknowledgement and add some notes. So what that looks like for you is that all the courses that you've put into your annual schedule builder will appear here in this list with the term, the instructor, and their status, and you can send a notification. So there are some unit settings that are specific to the teaching acknowledgements. The ones that I showed you earlier in the unit contact settings are here, and then the ones that are specifically for teaching acknowledgements are here. The first setting is just the ability to allow them to submit responses. So you as the scheduler have that power in your department to open and close the submission window. When you edit there, you can choose yes or no and save. We want it to be open so that they can submit. And then you can put in a deadline. So this deadline is a soft deadline. It does not prevent it does not prevent instructors from submitting if you have the allow responses on. So we're trying to put the control in your hands as the scheduler for your department. If you want to put the deadline as something very strict and close the responses off, you can do that. If your department has a little bit of a more loose structure and you have a later deadline or have a deadline but then still allow instructors to submit, then you can configure that in the way that works best for your department. There are custom instructions that appear at the top of the teaching acknowledgement page, and you can put in those custom text that pertains to your department. With a little preview there of what they'll see. Then there are 3 notification templates possible: an initial, a reminder, and a past due. And again, you can edit and put in anything that you want. It can accommodate some minor sorts of formatting, but it will not, it's not a rich text format editor, so it won't be, there's not a lot of fancy editing capabilities, but there are some basic ones. So once you've got that all set up, you can hit here, select records, and you can either use the pre-selectors to grab a group of the respondents, or if you want to, you can go through and click one by one. And then when you compose, it gives you a summary at the top of the recipients you've chosen, and you have an additional ability to edit those if you would like. Then you would choose your notification type. And here at the bottom, it inserts your text, but then if you needed to, you could also type in some extra. Here on our QA server, the email functionality is not 100% connected because we don't want to be sending out errant emails, but if you preview, it would give you a preview of what the instructor would actually see, and then you can hit send from there. And once those emails are sent out, what the instructor sees is an email to their inbox that says, you've received a notification from the instructional scheduling assistant. Please click here to fill out your teaching acknowledgement. So that link would let them log in. And since I had assigned myself that class earlier, that class comes up here. The custom instructions that you would put in for your unit would appear here at the top in this important notes box. And then the instructor would be able to respond, accept or reject, and save the note there. And it says, thanks. They would be able to then edit their response up until you close the response window. Once the faculty respond to you, then if you look in the table, find myself here, you can see the comment there. And you can see the class details or proxy as the instructor to edit their response. So say I, as an instructor, filled out my teaching acknowledgement and submitted it, and then 2 days later was like, oh crap, I totally forgot. Sent you a new email or called you on the phone and said, you know, I'm in the field, I can't get to my computer, but I wanted to let you know I actually have to reject that class. You as the scheduler can go in and you can edit their response. Say, oops, nope, they rejected it. We strongly encourage you to put in a note here because this is not recording that you are proxying. This is the way that the database works. It's allowing you to edit as the instructor. And so just as a business practice, it would make sense. And we strongly encourage that you put in some notes per phone call, 9/24. I'm no longer able to teach. And maybe put in your name for this one, silly, since I am the person editing it, but put that name in there. And then close that out, and it will update according to your proxy. So that is the teaching acknowledgement. And like we said, that's generally annual, but there's nothing restricting it. So if you did want to use it quarterly, you could do that. But it will grab all of the courses that that faculty member is assigned to and show that to them in their interface. It's just something to be aware of. On the instructional scheduling preferences side of it, instructor scheduling preferences side of it, same thing is happening. It's grabbing the term that you're currently working on right now. It's working on fall 18, but I can change that to any of the active ones for the school year, this academic year. If I want to change the unit settings, these ones are quarterly since this is a quarterly process. So you would have that same deadline and allow or like open or close the submission window there per each quarter. We know that some units have overlapping quarter deadlines, and so you might be working on 2 at a time and having 2 different deadline and response windows. So that's all available there. Again, you have a customs instructions area and 3 different templates that you can use. And then if you were to send a notification here, it works very much in the same way. Your unit settings from the general unit contact is here, and then the ones that are for the instructor scheduling preferences specifically are here. It's warning you that the deadline is passed, so you would want to go in and update the deadline if that were what you needed to do. You could select the records. Once again, compose, and it shows you who you've selected, and then you put in the notification type, preview, and send. What the instructors see when they receive this notification is again an email to log in. And as you can see, it's telling me that this is past due, but it's still allowing me to edit. When I click on that, it shows me the custom instructions for my department. If the instructor has used the system before and say they filled out their preferences last year and just wanted to reuse their same preferences over again, they could do that. It would show up here and they would be able to copy them. Shows them their class summary. And then here they have the ability to enter up to 5 day and time preferences. Again, since this is a daytime piece of information, it's got that very flexible ability to pick and choose whatever days and times they need and put in a note. Or if they want to, they can also just put in a general scheduling note. It's not requiring them to use either one of these, so it really is up to the faculty's preference and up to your unit's instructions. We are working on some features with the work group right now that we would like to be able to have each unit have the ability to create their own custom day and time preferences. But that will be a feature that we'll have to roll out in a couple months and have scheduled for development work during our next phase. Here we have the ability to put in an out-of-class exam, midterms or finals, exam date, preferred time room capacity. This is just some extra information to gather from the faculty while you're gathering all the information from them. Classroom detail requests, we have a link here to the list of classroom detail options on the ETS website. And once they've filled all that out, they can review their preferences and finalize it. Once again, they can edit these as long as the window is open. Go back as many times as they want. But once they've finalized and you've closed the submission window, they can't edit it anymore. Something that we've had people ask about is they say, well, what if my faculty member edited their preferences and reviewed them, but they didn't finalize them? Once again, on your scheduler side, when you're on that page, you can go in and you can go in. Oh, there we go. See preferences, and if you need to, you can edit on behalf of that instructor and proxy as them so that you can review and finalize their preferences. So once you've gotten that far, the system will pull the classes that you've got, say for fall quarter, and put them here in the quarterly schedule builder. And when you click on the details for that class, the instructor preferences that have been submitted will show up here. So you'll be able to see what the instructor filled out. At that point, you can put in the primary class component and other class component information with that note for the registrar and start doing the daytime and location settings and options there. And when you put something into the grid, it's giving you a visual representation of where that class will take place. There are some controls here at the top. You can look at it by course or by instructor. And you can make the grid a little bit more compact to get a little bit more in the view. And you can change the term up here or change the year if you need to. And again, filter by academic level or by course title. There are some pre-selects here at the top. Green corresponds to Monday, Wednesday, Friday. Dark blue corresponds to Tuesday, Thursday. And the light blue is for Saturday, Sunday, which is infrequent, but some departments do use it. Or you can look at all of them and it's going to give you all of the colors overlapping. The dark green corresponds to Monday, Wednesday, and Friday. You can see there that MWF. Lighter green is, this one is the sort of the medium green is like Monday, Wednesday, like 2 out of the 3 days, and the lightest green is 1 out of the 3 days. Similarly for the Tuesday, Thursday, the darkest blue means Tuesday and Thursday. The lighter blue means just 1 out of the 2 days. So we're trying to give a little bit of a visual indicator in this grid view. The gray, I believe, means it's like extremely non-standard. And so that means it's not falling into any of the presets for the standard times. Once you have things scheduled, actually, let me mention first, if there's an orange dot, it means that the class hasn't been scheduled yet, that the primary section has not been scheduled. So you would want to go in and schedule that class. Once you have your whole schedule filled out, how you'd like to see it with all the class components, and you're ready, you can export for the registrar. And this is going to give you a big warning that, first of all, it's going to generate 2 spreadsheets, one that has a clean version for the registrar to run through their script that they use, and one copy that has the extra comments and things that their script isn't able to digest. Right now, the way that our data is set up, we are only able to generate the spreadsheet one time. So that's what this big warning is telling you. If you need to edit your spreadsheet after you've generated it, you can do that, but you just need to do it manually directly into the spreadsheet itself, and be very careful to make sure that it matches and isn't introducing error-prone pieces to the clean version for the registrar. So I'm going to say never mind at this point. But if you were to generate it, it would download those 2 spreadsheets to your, your desktop or your downloads folder, wherever your computer normally does it, and you can use it from there and email on to the registrar's office. There is future development work planned that we want to hook this up and actually give the registrar their own dashboard to be able to review classes and add them to the ICES database through this system. But that's still a little bit of ways off. There's development work that needs to be done from a central campus point of view before we can hook it up completely. So right now, this is sort of like the interim functionality. We do expect that the export and generation of the spreadsheet is something that will be more automatic and more easy for you guys, easier for the registrar as time goes by and we're able to build more features. So yeah, that's a good time to say that this is a project that's under active development. We are making tweaks, fixing bugs, adding functionality all the time. And a great example of that is our summer session schedule builder, which I will tell you about next. So this is new because there's a slightly different process for summer session, but we are working with them and working with the registrar's office to align and to all use the same system so that we can cut down on any miscommunication or inefficiency that might happen from having different processes. So we are launching this on Monday, as I mentioned, and there will be some communication going out about that. And to support everyone with that, the office hours will be offered throughout October, in the 2nd and 3rd weeks of October, where people will start with the summer session schedule builder is that when you use it for the first time, you will see that all of the classes that are in it are gray. These are copied from the prior year. And so whether you've used the ISA in the past and have already used the copy schedule functionality, or whether this is your first time using the system, your summer session classes will be copied from the prior year and ready for you in the system. This is replacing the manual process that used to exist with Summer Session Office emailing every unit individually with their prior year schedule. And so right now it's just here for you in the ISA. You can use the filters at the top that are the same as the ones that exist on the annual and quarterly schedule builders for the main fall, winter, spring years. And for this one, when you're adding classes to the schedule, you're adding the course and the term. There's an administrator note that is, again, just for your unit. And then there's this one. Yep, that's a little bit of a bug. But this note here is for a summer session. So this note is going to go to the summer session office, but it's going to go onto their dashboard, not via a spreadsheet. So it's kind of exciting. And you can add an instructor at this point. Add myself again. There we go. And the historical enrollment information is available at the bottom as well. So say hi. Save that note there. And now that's in the grid. When I have my summer classes ready to send, I can send them to summer session. It's going to give me a summary of all the classes. And here it's giving me an acknowledgement that my MSO has approved the courses and instructors, and that the chair provost or divisional dean has also endorsed and approved the proposed courses. These are, within a couple of weeks, going to generate email notifications to the MSO, chair, provost, or divisional dean. It's not hooked up quite yet, but it will be hooked up as quickly as we can. So just a note there. Send my classes over, and now you can see that they have turned this kind of yellow color. Summer session on their end has a dashboard where your classes will come over and they'll be able to review new assignments, and once they've held their committee meeting in November, approve or deny the proposed courses. So they have that same type of control on their side to set the deadline and to open or close submissions. And so while submissions are open, you can keep adding classes to the schedule as much as you want. The ones that haven't been submitted yet are gray. The ones that have been submitted are yellow. If I want to submit again, I can, and only the class that I just added will be there so that it's not generating duplicates for summer session. But as soon as I send it, it will turn yellow as well. And then on summer session's side, once they've approved or denied, that will show up here either as green or red with a visual indicator of whether those classes have been processed. In addition to that, there is this class approval statuses page, which has a little bit more information. It has the class information as well as the status and a timestamp for when it was submitted. And if you need to from your side, you're like, oh, oops, I forgot, we don't need that class anymore. You can go here and cancel this class submission, and it will say canceled by department. It will be canceled by department here. And on summer sessions dashboard, it will also say canceled by department. At that point, once classes have been approved, I'm not going to demo the whole summer session side of things, but if summer session has approved your classes, they will show up in your quarterly schedule builder in the summer session slot. So the workflow there is, one, you build your summer session schedule here, you send it to summer session. Once they have their committee and do their approvals and denials, you'll get a notification about it, and all of the ones that are approved will automatically get added to your quarterly schedule builder. Classes that have been denied or been canceled will not be added to your quarterly schedule builder. So basically, it's not possible to make an error at this point because you can only add or only build summer classes on the quarterly schedule builder once they've been approved. Oh, database is hanging a little bit there, but that's the general idea. And then you would go through that same process I just described, scheduling your classes here, putting in the class components, and then exporting for the registrar at that point, with that process thoroughly vetted and communication at every level traveling down the line. So yeah, we're really excited about it. We've worked really hard with summer session, and they've been a great partner to be dedicating so much time into making sure that this process works. And so we're excited to not only roll it out, but to see how you guys are using it. So if you have feedback or you have more questions, like I said, the office hours are there, and I'm always available if you have any further feedback. So I think that is it for now. Like I said, I kind of mentioned a few of the things that are in the works for down the road. Each of you has a representative at the divisional level for the work group, and I have that information also available. Sorry, let me just move my control for Zoom out of the way. The training and demo information is here on the Academic Affairs website, and there's also all the folks that are assigned for each of the major divisions and departments who are part of the active work group here. So look for your division or department, and the person who's there, they are in weekly contact with me. They are gathering feedback. They're charged with being the liaison for their entire area to disseminate information and to, in both directions, and to help everybody know what's going on. So if you have any feedback that is for the development team for future development, please input it there, or you can always enter it via the send feedback button, and that will also go to our team.